What's up, football fans? Welcome to another episode of the Bleav in Big Ten podcast presented by FanDuel. I am Brandon Brown, joined as always by Grant Perry. And Grant, the last handful of episodes, we've talked a lot of game specific stuff. We've talked lines, we've talked some prop bets. Again, once again, presented all by FanDuel. Every line, every prop bet, everything we talk about, you can find on FanDuel. But this weekend, there are just too many big things to discuss. We will talk a little bit about some of the games this weekend, a couple of lines, a couple of games that have our interest a little bit. But bro, some of the things that occurred in the Big Ten this weekend are as big as they get in the world of college football. And we will start right at the top with, I guess that's what we're going to talk about. Is it a surprise? Was it right? Was it wrong? James Franklin canned. Out, done, making about $1 billion a day to just sit and twiddle his thumbs now with one of the craziest buyouts in college football history. But James Franklin fired at Penn State after making college football history in a way that you never want to. I think you probably saw this, right? 20-point underdog, 20-point favorites 2 weeks in a row and lost. First to UCLA and then to Northwestern. That's inexcusable. You can't do that at Penn State. You're too good. You're too talented. I mean, you picked them to win the Big Ten, I Bleav, right?
Yeah.
Player of the year and coach of the year. And you were off a little bit there, Grant, just a tad.
Just a tad, man. I put my eggs in that basket, man, and I should have known, dude. I took too much stock into 2023 when Michigan, kind of put all their chips in the table, and then you see Ohio State do the same thing, and then it kind of looked like Penn State was doing that as well, and that was not the case. And whether or not it was the right thing to fire him at this point, I mean, and I think the AD, I think his name's Pat Kraft, he came out and said that this had nothing to do with the 3-game losing streak that we just went on. And I'm like, I find it really hard to believe, especially with that note you just pointed out, where they're the first 20-point favorite to lose twice by 20 points, or 20-point favorite to lose twice 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Never been done. So it's really hard for me to believe it's not due to this 3-game streak and just this utter meltdown that we've seen. And you can kind of tell too, just the press conferences post game with Franklin just aren't. The vibe doesn't seem there. There doesn't seem like there's like the fight. So I mean, you see the trend more and more where teams, whether it's professionally or college, they want to get ahead of that coaching cycle. So they want to put themselves in the best position to get the first best candidate. And I think that's what they're doing. And at a place like Penn State, you have to try to get the best candidate in. So if they felt like this was the right time, like I don't blame them.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up a couple good points there. The last one, I've had a couple buddies, just talking, texting, whatever, shooting the bull with my friends, and they're like, "Why would they do it now?" It's exactly what you just said. You can start the search immediately. There's no waiting around. There's no awkward like, well, what's going to happen? I mean, you've seen the fallout on the recruiting class. They've had commits, jumping ship left and right. If you hang on to Franklin, you've got no time to fix that, because then you fire him at the end of the season, all those recruits are still going to dip, and then you got to try to fill it. It gets to be a little bit of a mess if you don't do it early. And your other point, I would challenge the AD. Okay, if it's not about the 3-game skid, then what is it about? Because James Franklin just won 10, 11, and 13 games over the last couple of years. So if it's not about this current 3-game skid and the state of the program right now, then what is it about? Because he's been pretty good. I mean, and you and I have talked about, and everybody and their brother who talks college football has talked about James Franklin not quite being able to get over the hump, not being able to win the biggest one out there. I mean, he won a Big Ten championship, I don't know, 6 years ago, maybe. Whenever it is, it's been a while.
It was like 2015. It was a while.
10 years ago, yeah. I mean, it's been a long time. And ever since then, it's Michigan's had his number, Ohio State's had his number. He just couldn't quite get over that hump. And I guess I'll just throw the question out there, Grant. If you are the AD and you're going through this with Penn State, would you have fired him? Do you feel like that's a knee-jerk reaction? Do you feel like it was deserved? Dude's won a lot of games. He's pretty well liked. I mean, it's not like he's a dick to deal with, from what I understand. I mean, when you see him at pressers and you see him interact with his players, people seem to genuinely like James Franklin. So, where do you fall on just the overall action of firing a guy like that?
Yeah, that's tough.
It is. It's very tough. I find myself very torn as well.
Yeah, and you know, I try to look at it from both sides, whether that be kind of outside looking in or imagining myself being a player on that team. And from a player standpoint, it almost is this. And yeah, obviously with three losses and two very bad ones, like your goals are probably not at, you know, they're not there at the end of the tunnel. And from what you started at the beginning of the season, you know, aiming towards. So as a player, it kind of almost feels like the university's giving up on our team a little bit this year. And it's like, hey, we're just going to throw in the white towel. And to my point though, like, you know, most of what they wanted probably wasn't there at the end of the year just because of the direction they were going in. But still, as a player, you know, and a lot of those guys, I mean, you've seen them come out and say, hey, like, you know, he's such a good guy, and they're showing their appreciation. You know, it feels like if there's a coach that could get through a bad 3-game stretch and, you know, maybe go 6-6, but gets fired at the end of the year, rightfully so. I feel like Franklin would be in that category. Just 10 plus years, you know, he's put a lot of players in the NFL. He's really, and a lot of people forget too of the climate in which he took over Penn State. Like no one really wanted to go within a mile of you know, of Penn State, just, you know, because the Joe Paterno era and all that, you know, stuff. So you got to give him credit for stepping into a position that probably wasn't very warranted or wanted, and now it's a very wanted job. People want it, and the names of people that are going to replace him are some pretty high people in high places. So I think they could have probably waited to the end of the season, just out of a little bit of respect. But at the same time, I mean, this business and this landscape that we call college football is changing by the minute, by the second. I mean, a couple of years ago, we saw them buy out Jimbo Fisher for 70+ million. So like they probably looked at that and said, well, it's not as bad as that. So like, you know, we weren't going to be talked about like Jimbo. So I think they could have waited. At the same time, this new landscape, like people want to win now. So if you think your best chance for next year is to find a coach as soon as possible, I could understand that, to try to maybe keep some of those recruits. Cause it's funny too. Cause I do some high school recruiting stuff and following and reporting in Michigan. And there's a kid over here at Novi Catholic Central who's 4-star lineman committed to Penn State. And we just did an update on him, and he's still committed. Kind of wants to see who's going to step in, but he's open. So a lot of, you know, you got to imagine a lot of those kids are open. But at the same time too, if Penn State can get a good hire in quickly, get a good name in on paper, that might also help and help them for next year too.
Yeah, a ton of great points in there, Grant. One of the things, and I want to be very, very, very clear about this. I'm not trying to minimize the magnitude of what happened with Joe Paterno and that whole scam. I mean, it was awful. I mean, one of the worst things that ever happened in sports. You almost don't talk about it anymore. Like James Franklin came in and got the program to a point where I don't know what it's like right around the program or at, you know, in Happy Valley. It's just not really like discussed anymore. And again, I'm not trying to minimize it. Like it was a horrible thing that went on, but like he did that. He came in a couple of 7 and 6 years out of the gate. And since then he's won, you know, 8, 9, 10 plus games every year. He had a dip in the 2020 season, which was weird for a lot of teams, whatever. It's still there, but he's got a winning record in bowl games. He's 60 games over 500. Again, he won the Big Ten. He won the Big Ten in 2016. But then you look down the rest of the years: second in the East, third in the East, second in the East, third in the East. Like it was Michigan and Penn State, or Michigan and Ohio State had his number every year, it seemed like. And then you know, this year off to the 3-3 start. And like you said, I mean, they're 6 games in, and you know, no playoff, no win in the Big. I mean, it's over. Like essentially the season is over for a team like that was ranked in the top 5-10 at the beginning of the year and had aspirations to maybe win the whole thing. So it's just a tough deal. And like you said, the speed of things now. You start the coaching search, but even that's a little tricky. It's not like you can go after guys who are still currently working and have a job right now, which that's exactly what we're going to get into next. The 2 names that are being thrown around all over the place, fellow Big Ten guys. One is a Penn State alum. Talk about Matt Rule. Talking about Indiana's Curt Cignetti. Those are the two guys who seem to be mentioned the most when it comes to replacing James Franklin at this point. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. You know, these are 2 guys who have pretty good reputations for different reasons, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what direction Penn State goes in when it comes to replacing James Franklin. So Grant, with Matt Rule, here's my thing. I like Matt Rule. He seems very personable. He's done well just about everywhere he's been. He's a Penn State alum. I know he addressed it as head on as I think I've ever heard a coach address something like this in mid-season, where he's like, I love Penn State, met my wife there. I went, I love, blah, blah, blah. He kind of took it on. Of course, he said all the other things too. I'm still with this team. This is my focus. That's what he has to say. Here's my thing, though, Grant, with Matt Rule. Like, is he better than James Franklin? I don't know if I would definitively say that. So I don't know. That he's probably candidate number one because of his background of being an alum and the success that he has had. He hasn't quite got it going at Nebraska yet, but I don't know. Initial thoughts on Matt Rule replacing James Franklin?
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Point blank, is he better? Is he a better candidate? And I don't know if he is. He probably brings a little bit of a fresher dynamic. They probably do enjoy and appreciate the fact that he is an alum. You see more and more schools trying to, bring back their former players, whether Michigan and Harbaugh. It didn't work, but Sean Foster and UCLA, and there's some more. But you try to hope that they bring in some of that. Hey, they know what we want. They know what we're trying to build here, and they can really build off of that and bring a winning program. But I don't know if Matt Rule is better than James Franklin. I mean, Matt Rule has a shoddy record versus ranked opponents. Nebraska hasn't been really in contention. They're on the borderline fence this year. I think that's a great question, and I can't definitively say that I think Matt Rule would be a better fit overall if you gave him 10 years. Like I could see it going just about the same. I could see it going worse, and I could see it going better, but I'm not definitive that he is a lock to be better than James.
I just feel like if you pay that kind of money for a buyout and you fire a guy, you've got to get a guy who's without question going to do a better job. I mean, that's every time there's a coaching change, they're trying to find someone better. Like, that's not like a weird thing to say. That's what you're always looking for. And to your point, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, regardless of background. I mean, maybe the most wrong I've ever been about a coaching thing with this type of situation was Scott Frost going to Nebraska. I was like, that dude's going to crush it. I mean, look what he's done at UCF, that offense, the way he scores, the way he's able to find, these unheralded recruits and turn them into stars. And it was a disaster there, which I did not see coming. And
another former alumni.
Exactly. And so it's not a layup to go that route. So yeah, that's a very interesting topic of discussion. I think, is Matt Rule even an upgrade over James Franklin? I don't think you can say yes for sure. Like, to your point, maybe not. Maybe it's about the same. All those feel pretty realistic in my opinion. Curt Cignetti, though, dude, I love him. I mean, I absolutely love him. He has clearly got it figured out when it comes to putting guys in a position to succeed and making whoever he has on his roster work. I mean, if you look back at his track record, everywhere he's been, he takes a crap team and turns them into a winner almost immediately. And he's done it in historic fashion at Indiana. I actually tweeted something about this. It's kind of funny. Like, a lot of times when people comment back on my tweets, it's dumb. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to interact with that person. But I was like, some big time program is going to give the keys to Curt Cignetti and he is going to be a problem. And someone was like, bro, he's already a problem. And I'm like, yeah, he just went into Oregon and won. So he's already a problem. They're number 3 in the country. He's 17-2 at Indiana, Grant. That's wild.
Yeah, that is crazy. And if I had the choice between Cignetti or Rule, like I think I'm going Cignetti just
all day long. I
mean, he just has like I don't even know how to describe it. He has a confidence about him, a swagger about him, and he sprinkles in just enough to the outside world to where he kind of gets a reaction, but like he's not trying to. I don't see him as somebody that wakes up and how can I stir up the internet? Like, he just seems like somebody that if something builds up, if they're talking about, like, he's going to say, hey, Google me. Like, I'm sick of it. Like, and he'll say what he says, but he says it confidently and he chooses his words wisely. And what he's done at Indiana, man, is just like, it's impressive. You can tell that, one, he knows how to build a team, but not also build a team. Like, he has done it in Indiana through the portal, and the portal is a great asset, but also being able to recruit, being able to build a place. And he's turned to Indiana. He's got guys saying, let's go to Indiana. Like, this is why we chose to go to Indiana because of Curt Cignetti. Like, if you're a program, that's why you hire a coach. Like, you hire a coach because after a game, you get players on the field that get interviewed and they're like, hey, this is why you come to Penn State. Like, that's the best advertisement, the best recruiting you can ever get. So if somehow they can weasel him out of Indiana, I don't think it's going to be very easy. I think he seems pretty loyal. He seems like, I mean, what he's building in Indiana, like, why would you step away from that? Obviously Penn State probably has some more resources and whatnot. But Indiana is just in a way better position. So yeah, I mean, Cignetti, I think is without a doubt, the guy. And
yeah, to do what he's done at Indiana it's nothing short of incredible. I mean, people are already calling it maybe one of the best coaching jobs ever. And I don't think that's hyperbole. Like, Indiana just hasn't been on that level in football ever. I mean, ever. And, being number 3 now and going into Autzen and getting a win over Oregon, who was inside the top 5. While all this stuff was swirling, it's really crazy to verbalize it this way. Curt Cignetti in 1 month has more top 5 wins than James Franklin did in 10 years at Indiana. It's not like he went to USC or, even Penn State, if you want to do apples and apples and compare the same program. Like, Indiana's just not supposed to do this on the football field. So this leads us right into our next topic, Grant. I don't want to word it this way because the answer is definitively yes. Is IU for real? But how for real? I mean, like, they just went in and beat Oregon on their field. Are they? So you've got Ohio State at 1, you've got Miami at 2, you've got Indiana at 3. Are those 3 in the same boat for you? I mean, if you take Indiana and throw them on a field with Miami, a neutral site, or shoot, it doesn't matter. Apparently, go ahead and go down to Miami, go down to South Florida and go get a win, Curt, if you can. You did it out at Oregon. So there's your top 3. Does Indiana belong? It feels weird because it's Indiana, but the proof is in the pudding, man. They are getting it done on the field. There's no denying it.
Yeah, I think they belong in that top 3. I 100% do. Like, I mean, you look at Miami. I mean, they had a great first half versus Florida State, and then that second half versus Florida State, they just slowed up, and Florida State made it a game and made it look like a much closer game than it was. So, like, if you put Indiana on that field, I think it's close throughout that whole game. And same with Ohio State. Ohio State, obviously, they're performing at a level defensively that is worldly, and they're doing a great job. But I think Indiana poses some threats with their running back, Roman Hemby. He's a beast. Elijah Surratt catching the football as best as anyone right now. Same with Omar Cooper, number 3 for them.
That dude's nice. I like that a lot.
They got some guys, man. Like, they don't just have one guy they're going to. They got options. And Fernando Mendoza, I don't know if you've caught any of his post-game interviews. He's got great energy, man. He's like a middle school kid, like after a sip of some high sugar drink. Like, he's just so excited, so like eager, very complimentary, and always looking to compliment other guys. So they got a good thing going there, chemistry wise and on the field production. I mean, they went in, they beat Iowa in Iowa. We know that. I mean, Iowa isn't great, but like, playing at Iowa, that's not easy. And then they follow it up with a road win at Oregon. And we know 2 weeks before that, they put 53 into Illinois. So I mean, their schedule and their pedigree is matching up with it. So yeah, I think they belong. And I think, man, the race, obviously those 3 are the primary, but as this format gets wider and wider each year and develops, like, I think the race is more open really than ever.
Yeah. Grant, speaking of the Hoosiers and speaking of, beating Illinois by 53 and going into Autzen and getting a win, they are favored, Grant, by 27.5 this weekend over Michigan State. That's a bigger spread than Ohio State playing Wisconsin this weekend. That is crazy to me.
Now that's an interesting fact. Like, the 27 at Michigan State or versus Michigan State, like, okay, I can understand that. Michigan State just had a very bad game to UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
When you say that Ohio State spread versus Washington, who is another team that we could see with a new coach at sometime this season, or looking for a new coach. Wisconsin. Yeah, Wisconsin. That blows my mind because you'd think Ohio State would probably beat Wisconsin by 40, 45.
Yeah.
So that says a lot about Indiana and what Vegas thinks about them.
The spread for the Wisconsin-Ohio State game is 26.5, 27.5 for Michigan State and Indiana. That's, I mean, just unprecedented times for the Hoosiers. If you're a Hoosier fan, you've got to be just pinching yourself. Is this really happening for our football team? How long, dear God, can we hang on to Curt Cignetti? Like, that's all anybody's thinking in Indiana right now. Like, yeah, they're winning. They're number 3. But now with an opening at Penn State, and there will be others, and clearly Penn State has no problem opening up the checkbook. They will throw – I mean, I'd throw $100 million at Curt Cignetti if I'm Penn State. Just go get him, dude. Go get him. I don't know why you wouldn't. We talked about that earlier. Matt Rule, Curt Cignetti. Give me Cignetti. Oh, yeah,
I saw that
day long.
They're also targeting Marcus Freeman too. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, same type of thing. I like Marcus Freeman. He's good. He's fine. He's younger. Young guy. I think he probably does really well on the recruiting trail. He's a Midwest guy. He's kind of, he'd understand the footprint in the Big Ten and things like that. I don't know if I can say he's definitely better than James Franklin. I just, that's going to be the tough thing because James Franklin won a lot of games. He didn't win the biggest ones, but he won a lot of games. And so it's going to be tough to replace that production at a place like Penn State. So yeah, I'm interested to see where we go. We're at the halfway point of the season, so it's going to be a little while. Different names are going to be floated, and agents are probably making these backdoor calls that they do right now. It's tough because those other guys are all still coaching and coaching for something in most cases. Like, you've got guys that are, if you talk Cignetti, you talk Freeman, like they're battling to get into the playoff and win a title. Like, that's what they're looking for at this point. So yeah, that's really kind of tough. Let's look at the other side of the coin, Grant. One or two more topics here before we close the door. Oregon, I mean, are they reeling? Like, there's no way we lost to Indiana at home. Did that really happen? Dante Moore, very even keel kind of guy, but what's he thinking now? He throws the pick at the end of the game, and that's not what lost the game. But like, that sticks with a quarterback. They've got a shot. They're going down to try to maybe take the lead or tie it late, and he throws an interception. I don't know. Thoughts on the Ducks? I think they may have been my preseason pick to win the Big Ten. I think it was either them or Ohio State. You went with Penn State. I mean, but apparently we don't know what we're talking about. But yeah, what's going on in the minds of the players at Oregon right now, and Dan Lanning and just that whole program?
Yeah, I mean, they got a visit from Curt Cignetti, and I thought Oregon was going to win that game. I did. They probably just maybe a little bit of a reality check. And it might be a good thing for him, because this is a landscape in which one loss doesn't kill you. 2 losses, you keep winning out, you're still in contention as well. So I think they're very much alive. I think they can use this as motivation. Learning. Dante Moore, we see, that he is human again. He was going through those first 5 weeks and he looked like a different specimen. So he's come back to life a little bit. And I think what that does for you as a team, it helps you realign your sights. You lose to Indiana, but now, we got Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa. We knock off those 3, then we're on to Minnesota, USC, and then at Washington. And everything's still in front of you.
Yeah.
You've lost nothing ahead of you. And honestly, I mean, your biggest and hardest, I'd say 3 games, probably Penn State, Indiana, and then USC. And Washington will be a good game too. But you've gotten 2 out of your 3 hardest games out of the way. You lost 1. It's time to bounce back. We can be beat, guys. So like, this ain't all sunshine and rainbow. So I think they'll be fine. I think this will be a good kind of fork in the road where now they go left and they got to really dig deep and find themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. I mean, you do what you're supposed to do, and they'll probably be favored in all of those games, I would guess.
Yeah.
USC at home, probably at Washington. Those are tricky, but they should be favored. So you go 11-1. Yeah, okay, it sucks right now. We lost to Indiana, but you go 11-1. You're in the playoff, and you've got a shot to win it all. And that's got to be their mindset moving forward. And Dan Lanning, you and I both pretty high on him. I think he was our number 1 coach in the Big Ten preseason, I believe, right, for both of us. So he'll get them right. But yeah, that's not an outcome I saw happening to Indiana to go in there and win 30-20 on the road at Oregon. All right, getting us out of here, Grant, just a couple lines to talk about again here on the Bleav Network presented by FanDuel. We will talk. The biggest game this weekend is not technically an all Big Ten game, but it's a pretty good one. Old rivalry game. There's just 2 classic looking programs out on the field. You've got USC going to Notre Dame. and the Irish are favored by 9.5. And for you and I, Grant, I can't help but think like, okay, I just watched USC beat the mess out of Michigan. Really, I mean, call it what it is. They ran all over the Wolverines in that defense that was pretty vaunted coming in. So how much better is Notre Dame than Michigan? I didn't see the gap is that big, but now you've got the Irish favored by 9.5. How do you feel about that line, and do you think the Irish are that good?
Yeah, I mean that line caught my attention as well. And you can look at it two ways. You can say, "Whoa, are they giving us a free take on USC's points, and do we take that, or are they letting us know that this thing might get ugly, and we're giving you a free ride here at 8.5, 9, whatever it's at with Notre Dame?" And I think you got to keep in consideration too, like the last time USC traveled, they lost at Illinois, and they did not come out and start hot. They didn't look great from the start. They had a great second half, which kept them in the game, but first half they didn't play well. And they're also coming off of a big win versus Michigan this week, and a lot of people like to incorporate that into their predictions or their bets, like a big win versus a big team, probably going to be a little bit of letdown, even though this is a rivalry game. I guarantee you USC probably had that Michigan game circled, as well as Notre Dame. Watching them both, like Notre Dame is hitting their stride. They're getting a lot better. CJ Carr is coming into his own. And same can be said about USC. But I'm going to ride with Notre Dame on this one, just until USC can show me road test wins. I think Love and Jadion Price, the running backs for Notre Dame, are moving too well right now. And CJ Carr is throwing it really well as well.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I mean, being at home certainly throws real world. I'm staying away from this, but if I had to, I think I'm going to go with the Trojans. I'm going to do it. Yeah. I mean, I was very impressed by their offense. They didn't even have their top two running backs, and they still looked unstoppable against Michigan. I mean, I think that speaks well to what they're doing. I'm not sure. This would be something I would do a little bit more research. I don't know if those two guys will be back. I don't know how dinged up they are. Are they going to play against Notre Dame? We'll see. But give me the Trojans in the points. I don't think they'll win it, but I think they lose by 7, 6, 3. Well, you're still in that zone for the spread. So yeah, give me the Trojans there. And then last but not least, probably the best all Big Ten game this weekend, and no bias here, is Washington going to Michigan. Michigan favored by 6.5. Grant, I don't like it. I don't like that for the Wolverines. I was not that impressed with them. Washington has a hell of an offense as well. Jed Fish, former U of M assistant, he would love nothing more than to go in there and get a dub against his former team. Another, that's a statement win for a program like Washington on the come up. Give me the Huskies. I don't know about winning outright. Again, same type of deal, though. I think they're going to score points. I think it could be a tough day for Michigan in that defense, just like it was in L.A. So, give me Washington and Jed Fish, man.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you one bit. And I'll tell you one thing. I know Jed Fish, and I know that he is going to – he's already probably watched it 3 times, this USC-Michigan game. And
what worked, and let me do that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He's going to see Michigan playing 30 yards off of Mekhi Lemon, and he's going to say, hey, we're going to take something and do something with that. So I think they're going to score points too, man. I do. I think Denzel Boston, the receiver, is playing at a elite level. I think Jonah Coleman, who is like 98% of their offense, is a problem. And then Damon Williams, I mean, facilitator. Every time I turn on the TV and I click on the Washington game, his stats show up, and it's 12 for 15, 13 for 17, like 15 for 18. Like, it's always within 3 incomplete passes, 4. Like, he knows where to put the football. And when he doesn't, he's running the football himself. And he's a darn good weapon. So yeah, I think this game is going to be, I think, close. I think, I don't know. I'm going to take Washington in the points as well.
Yeah, that's where they're fun to watch. I mean, Jed Fish is an offensive guy. That as good as anybody. And I like those that 3-headed monster on offense for them is a lot to handle. Williams at quarterback, Jonah Coleman at running back, Denzel Boston out wide. So there you have it. All of those lines again presented by FanDuel here on the Bleav Network. Lots of stuff to talk about in the Big Ten this weekend. Always fun to talk ball with you, Grant. Thanks everybody out there for listening. We will be back again next week.